Hello, everyone. It's the Voice of Hope Media. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Let's Give It a Voice here at the Voice of Hope Media. We are here. We are your hosts today, Claris, myself, and
Festus, Nfor. And we welcome you to this edition. Today we're going to be having some interesting guests. We have interesting people on the topic that we think and we believe is worth discussing and is worth talking about and for our voices to be raised. So today you just have to sit tight, relax, but don't switch off, because today is going to be packed with information that will help you and help the society at large.
Oh, yes. I mean, I've been looking forward to this conversation, to this particular topic. I've never been this excited since this program was started. Mm-hmm. And our panel, our guest speakers are just incredible, and they're really looking forward to be part of this show today. So what is it we are talking about today? We are going to give a voice to rape. Yes. So we know our topic is rape as a global pandemic.
Yes.
Yeah. And we are going to look at the African mentality towards rape. This edition is going to be a 3-part series. So the Voice of Hope Media has collaborated with other organizations whose main cause, whose main activity that they do is they raise awareness on domestic violence, gender-based violence, rape, and they support them both financially, emotionally, psychologically, etc., etc. So we collaborated with them, we teamed with them to have this show. And all our guests are from each of these organizations. And we thought it wise here at the Voice of Hope Media to amplify the voices behind this topic, this criminal act, that it is so bad, it is so sad, but unfortunately, it's still happening. Yeah. And I don't know if there's any justifiable reason for any form of rape, but we are really going to look into why this is all happening. How can people be helped? How can the survivors be supported? How can they protect themselves? How can young boys, girls, or how can parents protect their own children from this criminal act? And again, we are praying so hard that someday we will have perpetrators coming forward and saying, you know, I did this, I once did this, but I'm really sorry, and I know that this was bad, but I really want to look for help. So this is another reason why we are giving this voice to this topic, because we don't only want to focus a lot on the survivors.
Yes.
What about the perpetrators? We need to hear their voices as well. We want them to be able to talk, because you're not going to be chastised because you've done something wrong. I mean, if God forgives everybody for the different sins that they've committed, what about a human being? So we are waiting and looking forward to that day where the perpetrator will come forward and say, I need help because I have raped someone before. And when that happens, it's going to be an amazing job. So today we have Dr. Ako, our famous Dr. Ako, who is normally on our show, Dr. Ako Tapeta. We have Sister Belle Sonkey. We have Tembeng Eli-Anne, who are our guest speakers today. So you continue, and then before we bring in our guest speakers. So,
yes, like what Claris has just been discussing, this is a topic where we as a people, we need to really rise up. We need to find a way to clamp down on this, because it's actually going out of hands, and it's not just that it's causing so much harm and so much pain and trauma. It's also very, very detrimental emotionally and even socially. So it is a topic that is worth discussing. And again, just to add a voice to it, we are also trying to see how best society can support those who are victims, and also even to create awareness in the community that we all belong to. And also even those who have been perpetrators of all of this act, either they've been brought to justice, and if they've not been brought to justice, could you start, maybe hopefully someday you will start a movement or something that will help the next generation, because somehow we need to rise up as one. We need to speak up and speak out on this, because if the society is supposed to be one that is united, is one that is going to move forward, is one that is going to come up with age and times that we live in, then we as a community, we have to make sure that some of these social issues are dealt with. And we don't know if this is going to be cultural, legal, from a household structure, or however this is going to come. We have to make sure we do this. So without any much ado, we will now be getting ready to get our guests and then to get right into the nitty-gritty of this topic.
Yeah, and we all know the rate at which this crime is going on. It's actually turned into like a pandemic. So it's actually a global issue. It's not just an African issue. And we've done a few research, we've read around, and there are a few statistics which we would like to quickly read about them. Then before we really we get into our show. So from this, part of this information is from one of our guest speakers from her organization. So she says each month, hundreds of cases of rape and sexual assaults are being talked about. And we know these appalling crimes of sexual violence or rape is being committed against our sisters, against our brothers, daughters, sons, and even babies. These heinous acts have caused some fatalities as young as 3 months old, and 3/4 of survivors of this distressing involvement are under the age of 15. The phenomenon has taken a new turn with a deteriorating security situation in the Anglophone regions, that is in Cameroon, Northwest Province. Young girls and women who have been forced to flee from their homes to seek refuge in neighboring Francophone regions have been exposed to all forms of sexual exploitation and abuse. Despite the trauma involved, many cases of rape and sexual violence still go unreported, as families and communities practice a culture of silence. They just wanted to shut their mouth. Or if it's not silence, they practice indifference about sexual violence or rape, leaving victims devastated. Disturbingly, the perpetrators include men of all ages, with more young men involved, with their actions getting more violent, cruel, and damaging to the victims. So far, in all the cases reported, we noticed the death of kids. We cannot really account for how many survivors got pregnant, contracted STDs, HIV, but we can testify but what we can testify is more victims are scarred and traumatized by the ordeal. Those are some of the effects of rape on the victims. Furthermore, the World Health Organization states that almost 35% of women globally experience physical or sexual violence. It also says that 1 in 10 girls out of 120 million children worldwide has been a victim to forced intercourse or forced sexual acts, sometimes in their lives. What is more shocking is that out of 82 jurisdictions in 73 union member states, 10 deem the rape of a woman or girl by her husband as legal. The study claims, the study which I got this information from. And then further to go, over a lifetime, 1 in 3 women will experience physical or sexual violence, regardless of age, background, or country. And according to UNICEF, 1 in 10 girls, that is around 120 million, experiences rape or sexual assault globally. These perpetrating figures can be in part explained by the fact that, as demonstrated by Equality Now's report, many laws around the world do little to deter violence against women, and in some cases even encourage it. An association called Men Can Stop Rape states that every time a man's voice joins those of women in speaking out against rape, the world becomes safer for all of us. More to this, Men Can Stop Rape states that every time a man's voice joins those of women in speaking out against rape, the world becomes a safer place for all of us. There are numerous accounts throughout history up to the present day of women and girls being raped. In addition, children in general and men are also known victims. Countless studies have come up with various conclusions, and specialists in the field have added their thoughts. Rape still is an issue. Rape Crisis England and Wales addresses rape myths, states rape by strangers is approximately a 9% occurrence. On the upper end of the curve, females know 90% of their rapists. In addition, attractiveness, age, culture, or class have nothing to do with rape prevention. Any woman can be a victim, any man can be a rapist. This is not to infer that every woman will be a victim or that every man will be a rapist. The figures are quite alarming. The statistics are really alarming, including babies are victims. Then if people sit out there and they say the way a woman dresses, the way a girl dresses is a good enough reason to provoke a man, to get a man to rape her, then what would you say that attracted a man from a baby's nappy, a baby's pad? What reason would people give? However, we are going to carry on with our discussions, and along the line, we may really want to know what are some of those reasons, what are some of those things that will cause someone to carry out such. I don't even know which name to give. Just carry on from there. Then we introduce our guest speakers, because this is an abomination.
Yes, it's one of those topics where it's like things that touch home. It actually something that appeals to most people, and some die in silence, some don't really speak up, and that has a devastating effect even in their marital homes, or even when they grow up, in the way they interact in the society. It has a lot of consequences, and this is a topic that we need to speak up as a society and as a people. And without any much ado, I think the guests we have today, they are ready to go. They look like they are all armed with all the arms and ammunition for them to release today, and we are ready to receive this. And remember, we can disagree on so many things, but at the end of the day, we are here to create awareness. We are here to speak up for this. It's not a matter of somebody being right or wrong. Your answer, whether you agree or not, should be justified with a reason as to why you are making the stance. So we are having an open discussion. So this is like, we have to go there, and yes, we are going to dare into this den today.
Thank you, and welcome once more. I think some of our guest speakers are having network problems or connection problems, but however, we are still going to continue because we have our big sis here, Sister Mirabelle, and Dr. Akko has just come into the studio as well. So we will get to okay. Has someone got two gadgets connected? They switch off one, please. Because we have our big sis here, and Mirabelle and Dr. Akko has just come into the studio as well. So we will get to Has anyone got a gadget that's connected on Facebook as well?
It's muted. The other one is muted. Okay. That one, it's muted.
All right. So we carry on.
Because I need it I'm teetering from it, so I need it. Yeah. Okay.
Can you hear me now clearly?
Okay. Yes, that's fine.
My fault. I was watching on Facebook and I was having a bad connection. I'm sorry about that.
Okay, that's fine. So we carry on with introduction, and we are going to start. We have a brand new baby face today in our studio, and that's Eli-Anne. And we welcome to the show. And I would like you to introduce yourself, please. Can you hear? Anne, can you hear? I think she's frozen. Okay, Sister Mirabelle, you continue with the introduction. Then when Eli-Anne is ready, then she will introduce herself.
Okay. Belle Sonkey is my name, but I'm popularly known as Mommy Belle or Belle Sonkey. So I'm the promoter and the chief executive officer of the Network for Solidarity, Hope and Empowerment. When we start talking about rape, I can talk for the world because it's been I've had a bad week, I've had a bad week starting from Friday last week, like it's not been easy. So that's that. Let's thank you for amplifying my voice and those of others already here. You've given us the loudspeakers. You've given us the microphone, like, how do you say it? How do they call it? The loudspeakers, because we had the mic, but we didn't have the loudspeakers. So thanks for giving us a loudspeaker so we can really take it, amplify our voices. Thank you so much. Thanks to the Voice of Hope. I can't thank you enough. Thank you.
You're welcome. And because we are the voice, we like to encourage people to give that voice to those issues that most often people do not want to talk about, which rape is just one of the perfect issues that we have to talk about. We have to, whether you are a victim, you are a survivor, or you are a perpetrator, you have to give a voice, because even the perpetrators, they end up suffering in silence.
Yeah.
So we are waiting for that day where someone will come up and say, look, I've been suffering mentally, internally for so many years because I raped someone. So we need that after this show, someone should be able to come forward and say, nobody will chastise you. God forgives people every single day. However, we carry on, and over to you, Dr. Ako, and thank you once more for, yes, you brought up this topic. When I knew you were on fire.
I did right, AC, and that's why we have the Voice of Hope, that you are, your media and what you're doing. I just want to say, hey, how you doing in the midst of this pandemic? And I hope you're doing okay. And to all the guests, the co-hosts, I salute you. Yes, AC, I hit you up and I said we have to talk about rape. And I came to you because you are that voice of hope. And we're having this conversation today. Of course, what really precipitated me to call you was what happened in Cameroon with our artist Daphne. I like to keep it real, and I'm going to keep it real. I will not go into medical terms because I'm a doctor. I'm going to go straight to the point. I will shoot it straight, all right? And we'll talk about rape and talk about this thing that people do not really like to talk about, and that's rape. So, and there is this song, being an artist, I like to combine music and medicine and art. And there was this song that came out back in the days, and some people didn't really like it, especially in Africa. They're like, oh, why can't they sing a song like that? But it's a wonderful song. Let's talk about sex, baby. Let's talk about you and me. Let's talk about all the good things and the bad things that may be. Let's talk about
sex.
Yeah.
Let's talk about all the good things
and all the
bad things that may be. How I wish African parents back then could take this song and drill it through their family. Then I'm telling you, the rate of rape, incidents of rape would have been cut.
Yeah.
It would have been halved or not, would have been reduced. But we don't want to talk about sex because we are holy, because we are conservative, because of our culture. I want to talk about sex. Bad things happen that are never revealed. That's the conversation I want to have in voice of Hope Mia today. Yes.
Thank you so much. Yes, and I will only remember, only imagine how parents will say, "Can you stop that song from coming from that house? Just turn off that volume. Talk about what?" So, our African parents. I mean, even now when I'm listening to a song and there's a swear word in it, I immediately just turn it off.
Right.
Yes. So now, one of our guests, I think she's having connection problems, so we'll continue and then she meets us along the way. Do you want to start?
Yes, well, thank you all for accepting and then being on this panel and show today. And we really respect your background, your experiences, your exposure to life, and even your experiences as well. It's something that cannot be quantified. It's something that you cannot put a currency or price on it. And so we appreciate that because we learn as we go on in life. Because, so we are going to go into this topic today. So we're going to start off with the first question that we have. Okay, so we're going to start with our sister Belle, and then we're going to ask this question to you today. What are the cultural aspects or societal views you think that we have on rape as Africans or Cameroonians, maybe in particular, that could have this adverse effect on this, the occurrence, the alarming rate of this? Is it a cultural issue? And if it is, do you have some aspects to this culture that need maybe denouncing, or I don't know, we need to encourage, or what? I don't know.
Thanks for that question. I think there is no culture that accepts rape. That one I will not tell you a lie. It's just some kind of practices that people have swept under the floor of their carpets not to talk about. These are some of the things that happen. I remember a friend telling me she told her mom that somebody was abusing her, and the mom said, "Shut your mouth up. Let me not hear about it. Nobody should hear about this thing." So do you want to tell me that is a culture that pushed that woman? I don't think it has anything to do with the culture. It has something to do with, like it's something like, for me, it's a taboo. It's a topic. Sex is a topic that people don't feel comfortable talking about it. How many times? I don't remember. I'm almost going to my 5T. I never had a conversation about even my reproductive system with my parents. You know what it means? If I had that conversation with my parents, maybe things would have been different in my life. Things would have been different somewhere along the line. With this challenge which I had today, my mom, who's 70 something, like she sits and say, "Oh God, had I known this is something," because today I don't relent. My children, when I say my children, that's my crowd, as little as 4 years, I start making them understand that their private parts are really private. Nobody plays with it. These are some of the conversations our parents didn't have with us.
Yeah.
So it's not an issue of culture, it's an issue of not being comfortable. Because I don't want to put it like that, it's a culture. We have some tribes in Cameroon where it's becoming a norm. It's becoming a norm. I don't want to call it because I don't want to call it because every week I hear about a rape case coming from that area. I better not call it because, with already problems we have, they will start saying that this is, like you're calling for genocide. This is some kind of, you pointing your fingers, putting your finger where it should not be. But it's not everywhere. It happens everywhere in every tribe. Even in Douala, it's happening today. And people carrying out these practices are people from all over. You have people from all walks of life. Victims are as young as 3 months old. So when people start blaming victims, how do you want to tell a 3-month-old that your diaper was so sexy? Wow. So for me, it has nothing to do with culture. It's practice, because victims are below 15 years old. What do they know? So thank you for giving me that voice. I will keep it at that. But at the end of every sentence I will make, it's like we need to start teaching people and telling the world, do not rape. Do not rape. This is my discourse. Do not rape.
Right.
Yeah.
I think that's really good. And then the conclusive part of your discourse has been do not rape, and which is true. And you clearly said that from your own point of view, it has nothing to do with culture, because from what you say, no culture out there encourages that. However, I don't know if Dr. Ako would have a slightly different view to that point, or if he has something to add, or I don't know. We just want to know, what do you think about this?
Yeah, Mirabelle, you've said some fantastic things, and I must admit that what you're saying is true. I mean, I will, from the forefront, from the optics, how can we say a particular culture openly condones rape? You know, I believe that this discussion is specific. You know, we're talking about the African culture where we come from.
Yes.
And yes, because I've carried out therapeutic sessions for rape for patients who have been victims of rape. And I will just share one experience here in Washington, D.C. I was carrying out a particular therapeutic session, and sometimes I'll have 4 people, and it was on depression, actually. It was on depression. And I will have 4 people come, like tons of 4 come and sit down, and we have a session for a specific period of time. And there were 3 men and a lady who walked into my office. And I'm like, sit down, and for privacy, I'm going to close the door. And I noticed how anxious she was. And she began to react, and I could not pick it up. You know, sometimes maybe they're on drugs, maybe there's something going on. She lost somebody, she's bad news. I couldn't pick it out. She started shifting around, looking around, saying, I'm not comfortable here. I'm not comfortable here. I don't want to sit here. Then she began to scream. No, I don't want to sit here. I want you need to see me alone. I don't want you to see me with anybody else. I don't want to sit with this man. And upon inquiry, I put her out by the side and talked to her. She said she was gang raped when she was young. Yeah. And she came for a therapeutic session on depression, and I believe that was a complication of that rape and depression. And she could not sit in that room with men, a closed door. Such a traumatic experience. And it has marked her for life. Yeah. And if we agree that we come from Africa, and there are women who are being raped around in our culture with such traumatic experiences, why do we pretend as if we don't know about it and we don't want to talk about it? We have this beautiful African, I said, I'm not going to talk like a doctor, okay? I'm going to be straight to the point, I'll shoot at the jugular. A beautiful African system. Uncles and all these cousins and stuff who show up in your houses. Watch your daughters very closely. How are parents very protective, and how are they very conscious of what happens with those uncles and those nephews and those cousins who show up? And we talk about rape. We talk about rape, consensual sex with a minor. It's rape.
It's rape.
Yeah.
I'm going to define it again, because when I talk about the sex consensual, people like to, Africans, consensual sex with a minor is rape. So she said yes, she wants to have sex with you. You are raping her because she's a minor. Not because she said yes. Or she loved me, she wanted something. So why is it that our culture is so, conservative when it comes to rape? Okay. It's a taboo, because if there is a rape victim in the family, who is going to get married to someone in that family? They do crazy stuff. If they rape victim, it's a taboo. Nobody wants to touch it. Just like suicide. If somebody committed suicide in the family, everybody's like, they got something going on.
Yeah.
And the girl was raped, and she cannot say anything because it's going to bring dishonor to the family. Africans love honor. We love honor so much, but we love honor in the wrong direction sometimes. Can we just take a step back and look at the facts of this honor? Because there are legal systems in certain African countries which do not attack rape as they should. So a lot of people walk scot-free. Now, for some, it's a life sentence for rape. if you look at the legal system.
Yeah.
But people walk scot-free all the time. And nobody can talk about it. Oh, mommy, oh, excuse me? Who raped you? Shut up. You don't know what you're talking about. Now, that little girl has been traumatized for life. I want to mention one big word here. In our culture, bullying. They bully the young girl to submission. Number one, first, they bullied her to submission while she was being raped. And now they're bullying her to submission to stay silent. Two big in our African culture. Bullied twice. You know, she was raped, she cried, she has injuries. She's still trying to come to terms with what happened. It takes a long time. She's messed up. And she goes to the people that she can trust. My mama, who took care of me, and they'll report to mommy most often times than daddy.
Yeah.
And then mommy, we're talking about culture, goes to talk to daddy about it. What did you say? I'm talking about us. There are rapists in our families. Where did they come from? Don't you have a family in Africa? You have a family. So if we have many families, there are rapists in the families in Africa, but nobody's talking about it. Those of us watching this program right now, there are rapists in your family, and you know it. They are watching the program, you're going to make a comment, you are guilty. So we are guilty. It's a culture where there is a taboo. It's a culture of hypocrisy.
Yeah.
The culture of hypocrisy.
The culture of silence. We have a culture of silence. Yeah.
Now, if it's in America, in the United States of America, if you see something, talk about it. Especially after 9/11. If you see something, we should talk about it.
Yeah.
Should we take this to our African culture? If you see something funny, you talk about it. That girl was raped. And the shame. We talk about African culture. There's too much shame in being raped in Africa. Unlike other cultures. There's also shame here in America, but so much shame. She was raped. And if they get to know that she was raped, oh my goodness. So much shame. A culture of silence now. You see, all these things I'm putting together just to let you know how thick a cloud, that dark cloud, hangs over victims, over families. And then one important thing. I want to mention one thing. I want to define something. A rape culture. The African culture embraces a rape culture. And I would like people to go and look at the term rape culture. Yes. Even in the course of this discussion after this, rape culture. It's important.
Yeah.
Rape culture is different from rape.
Yeah.
They downplay. It's a culture where sexual violence is downplayed, is tolerated. They trivialize. Trivialization. That's another word that we should hold on to today. We trivialize rape, something that affects a woman in such a way, in such a magnitude, a traumatic event that will lead to a post-traumatic event like post-traumatic stress disorder and all the complications, even stop her from having children. You heard about the testimony of Daphne. She was bold and strong, such a strong woman. I wrote a letter to Daphne. I believe that will be published, on social media as an artist. I wrote her letter. I told her that I am very, very proud of you for coming out and using your platform as an artist to talk about it. I told her I'm willing to work with you because it's what I do. Yes. She was bold enough to come out and talk about it. How many women are bold enough to come out and talk about it? The Me Too movement started in the United States of America for something. We need a Me Too movement in Africa.
Yes.
Because the people like Because be there.
That's it.
All those school principals.
Yeah.
With the young secondary school girls. Yeah, I'm going to the details now. You see, I'm going to territory that people don't want to talk about. That's why I'm having this conversation. I didn't come in to talk about the pathophysiology of rape and use medical terms. I'm breaking it down to you.
Doctor, if I may ask, just give me one. If I may ask, did you hear about the teacher in primary school who raped 18 children in Bonaberry, December last year?
That's what I'm talking about. And what are they doing about it?
Where is the guy even? The guy is not in jail. And what are the parents doing?
Exactly. You see, those are the issues that clearly highlighted by Dr. Ako, and now Sister Belle, you're now talking about this as well. Because these are the issues that we're talking about. This culture of silence and hypocrisy. And then now we've now touched on another element which has to do with the legal side of the of the issue.
Yeah.
What the law says and all of that. So we are just trying, because we are happy that this is the first part of a 3-part series, right? So we are touching some areas that needs awareness. It needs a voice. It needs people to be enlightened to know that this is wrong. I'm just going to, before Claris comes in with the next question, I'm going to just say something that an experience that I think these are some of the things we talk about culture that accommodates, let this grow without knowing how this works. A friend of mine in the States has a daughter, and she looks big, but she is 13 years old or 14 at the time. And then a friend of hers who is in Cameroon now saw a video of the two of them, not knowing that that was her daughter, asking her if he could be friends with the daughter. And this guy is almost 40 plus. Now, how do you want to be a friend with somebody who is 13 or 14 years old? Now, you start by grooming. And these are some of the cultural things that it doesn't just work. You cannot be friends with somebody, even when they told you that you say there's nothing wrong with it. Now, I'm thinking it must be ridiculous. So the mother decided to take screenshots of this chat they had on Facebook and share it on her wall on Facebook to say this needs to stop. Yeah. But the strange part of this, as we've been talking about the culture of silence, is the feedback, the comments made by people in Cameroon was completely opposite to the people in the Western world, who seem to think everything is wrong with this, but the people seem to suggest that, well, there's no harm, nothing has been done. And I'm thinking, these are the breeding grounds of what ends up being something of rape, abuse, torture, trauma caused to people. And I must put this inside, right? We're not just saying that it happens only to women, because I know some men have their own story. So this is all, and it encompasses everybody. If you are a victim of any form, shape, or type, it's time to rise up. It's time to speak up. And even if you've been the perpetrator and you think it's time for you to join a movement where your acts in the past could help others or become a deterrent, it's all welcome, so long as it's going to bring change to the society. So, Claris, the next part you had to, which was really a good one.
Yeah, the next part has to do with the legal system, what different countries do when it comes to punishing the perpetrators. But I will start by quoting the Sexual Offences Act 2003, which is in the UK. It states that a person A commits an offence if he intentionally penetrates the vagina, anus, or mouth of another person B with his penis. B does not consent to the penetration, and A does not reasonably believe that B consents. Whether a belief is reasonable is to be determined having regard to all the circumstances, including any steps A has taken to ascertain whether B consents. A person guilty of an offense under this section is liable on conviction, on indictment, to imprisonment for life. Now, what does the legal system hold for perpetrators in Cameroon, and why will perpetrators walk free without being punished? Whereby in other parts of the world, like in the UK, if you've done this, then you are liable for life imprisonment. So, Belle, I'll come to you on this. What does the legal system hold for perpetrators in Cameroon? Or should we just say in Africa in general?
Africa and then Cameroon.
It goes across the board. It goes across the board. Recently, the state Nigeria is a federal state. You have the sentence that has been put in place by the Kaduna, someplace around Nigeria. You see, it goes across the board. In Sierra Leone, the actual president has made rape like a national emergency where the full cycle of rape is being taken care of by the state. Let's start there. Which means that it encourages victims to speak out.
Okay.
If you cannot have, because to start to even go first to the judge, you need to go and see a doctor. What are provisions in Cameroon? Do we have any? I doubt. I'm taking exam. I'm not sure, because since 2 years now, I've been letting my voice to talk about rape, managing cases. The bills of rape victims have been taken charge of entirely without any reduction, apart from accommodation. That it means if you have to pay 5,000 francs for a night in the hospital, you pay 2,000. But everything, the surgery, medication, and everything. You remember the case of our little princess who was raped 3 years ago in April. Everything was paid pocket. The government didn't take anything. The case in court, the lawyer is doing it pro bono. The only thing she's having is the support, the logistics support she's having, because if you have to pay a lawyer. This tax doesn't come in. I'm sorry. The legal system in Cameroon, it really, like, for me, it violates you again.
Yes.
The whole cycle of rape in Cameroon violates the victim, because already if you don't really meet an empathetic doctor, we see what happened to Daphne, where people were talking about, oh, you come in and things like that. You have some doctors who do same. I'm sorry. What were you wearing? Who sent you to this house? And then I wonder how Judy, who was taken from the house by her aunt's partner, how will you ask a 3-year-old, why did you follow your uncle?
3-year-old.
How will you ask a 3-year-old, why did you follow your uncle? This is another thing I received on Saturday. This child is 18 months old. She's been defiled by her grandpapa. Yes, it's not a story. I am following the case. Maria Banga was watching. She's like my arm in Cameroon. She's my arm. When I have a case, I say, Marie, go. She's on her way. She goes there immediately to see the victims. I only see the victims maybe 2-3 months after when I go home. This is something, the legal, because already when you talk of the legal system, I want to start at every rape victim should be covered by the full cycle. The full cycle, it means from the time they report to the time the sentence is pronounced. But we don't have that in Cameroon. We're taking an example. There's this girl, the 17-year-old. There's a rumor that she died as a result of rape. What is the state doing? The state should be doing a post-mortem to be, to ascertain the cause of her death. But they just write something that she died of a cardiac arrest. Yes, when you die, it means that you have a cardiac arrest. But what caused this cardiac arrest? What caused this cardiac arrest? Come on, they're asking the family to disburse 400,000 for a post-mortem. How do you expect a family that barely has, what is the salary? Let me say, what is the salary range? What is the salary range in Cameroon? That somebody will disburse 400,000 for a medical certificate or for a post-mortem. I don't want to quote the, how do you say it? I don't want to quote the penal code because it's ridiculous. Starting with it, the status of limitation is 2 years. So from the last day you were raped, you have 2 years to report this case. So it means that if Daphne, for example, knew the person who raped her, this thing is prescribed. So she cannot even sue. It's ridiculous. So I don't even want to talk to it. I don't want to talk because I feel as crying.
Yeah, it's quite sad. It's devastating.
I feel as crying. Yeah. I feel as crying. It's devastating. I don't want to, because it doesn't exist in Cameroon. The legal system does not exist. Because to start with, for you to have the legal system, you want to talk about the legal system, getting a legal medical certificate. They write on the legal medical certificate 1,800, but for everything you need to pay at least 10,000. This is some of the challenges we who manage such cases, we have to face. We have to pay from our pockets. And then at the end of the day, the family, sometimes they look at it, they will tell you, okay, no, just leave it. You can give us that 50,000 you want to pay for the legal fee so we can manage, leaving the victims devastated. I would still say, do not rape, because it's so costly to the victims and to our society. It's so expensive. So do not rape. This is what I keep on saying. Do not rape. And we should stop as a community or as a society, because it's not only in this thing. Dr. Ako, you will not deny me that even in America, there's this rape culture.
There is.
Well, however, what we are trying to now say is there is like it's like a pandemic worldwide. But I think the difference with the I would call it rightly or wrongly, the West, is that the legal arm of justice is harder. It comes hard on you if you do that, and it acts like some sort of a deterrent, even though there are still perpetrators. But it acts like a deterrent. I think the one we have in Africa and Cameroon in particular it's one where you look at 2 years. Come on, 2 years, it's like nothing. Some people go through this trauma for more than 2 years before they could even voice it out. So if you say 2 years, I almost feel like lawmakers are in one way, form, or shape becoming perpetrators of this act, because you cannot comfortably sit and tell me 2 years. You should leave it. If you've done it, even if it's after 5, 10 years, the law will get you. Now, if it comes on you, you should be able to answer for it. So now, moving forward, Dr. Ako, what do you make of this? What do you make of this issue about the legal system of Cameroon not holding perpetrators to account? And why would perpetrators walk or have the thinking mindset that they would do such an act and then walk scot-free?
Now, thank you so much, Festus. You see, one thing I want to mention is those working in the legal system come from that same culture.
Yes.
That's the first thing. Mm-hmm. Now, they grew up with a knowledge, attitude, and practice towards rape, which was very deficient, very poor. So they come from the same culture. And the legal system being inefficient. So I'm not trying to debate whether it's efficient or not. I'm saying that they're inefficient in handling, rape cases.
Yeah.
It's tied, that legal system is tied to the culture. So we have a very strong legal system which is influenced by the culture.
Yes.
That's the fundamental basis. Mm-hmm. Because like somebody mentioned, and she was raped because of the way she dressed. Mm-hmm. We should, now you're going to have intelligent people. I'm talking about doctors like me, PhDs, or in social work, who will get on live television and say that we should encourage our daughters to dress better so that they will not be raped. Can you believe that?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And they'll be very serious about it. And then you will have about 5 people on that panel. I'm talking, this thing is a serious thing because we play about it. She should have dressed better. We should instruct, instead of going straight to the point, sexual violence, it should not be condoned. It should not be condoned. Because that uncle or that relative who walks to their house every day and is sitting with your children, start giving them some small gifts. I remember Chief Zebediah, when I was watching Chief Zebediah back in the day. Jegede Shokoya came into Chief Zebediah's house. And what did he do? He bought the daughter a gift, an underwear. Bought the daughter a gift, an underwear. And Chief Zebediah was like, really? Of all the gifts you could get from my daughter, the only gift you could get her is an underwear. You see, that reminds me, talking about this. Those people show up in your house, and I'm going to say something which is very sadistic, very, very somber, a very somber thing. You see, there are some parents who encourage it for financial reasons.
Yes.
Yeah.
We're talking about low socioeconomic conditions being, a risk factor for rape.
Yeah.
And something that is condoned. They condone it. They know that that girl is 15, 16 years old. But through her, right, they can have a better life if that rich man out there who has some appetite, some sexual appetite to be satisfied, glances, puts his glance on the family and gives them that opportunity to encourage it sometimes. It's not true. I'm talking to Africans. They encourage it.
Yes.
And that is very bad.
Exactly.
So the legal system is influenced by the culture. And they have the law, which is written. It not apply it. So you have to dance around it. In Africa, excuse me, that man is in jail for 20 years, for 30 years. It's supposed to be a life sentence anyway. Many guys got life sentence for rape. In Africa, it's a joke. Are you kidding me? What did he do? He didn't kill anybody. Of course, he killed somebody.
He killed someone. Yes.
Doctor, in Sierra Leone now the term is life sentence when you rape a child below 16 years. This is what President Mada Bio has put in place. Rape in Sierra Leone today, since February, is a national emergency. I think last year February, it's a national emergency. You get the life sentence.
But you see,
you get life sentence because for me it's attempted murder. It is attempted murder.
So
how many have died? How many children have died?
Yeah, Sis Belle. So definitely things are gradually changing. If some parts of the world, in Africa,
yes,
if somebody is sentenced to life in prison for raping a child or any person, so it shows that the voices are being heard. And there's
the difference is this. The problem I want to address on this is like, we need to cover a full cycle, because when you only say the person has life sentence, how do people come? Because for you to be able to report rape, you need a medical certificate.
Oh, yes.
If parents cannot afford to do a medical certificate, how do you know the child was raped?
Yeah.
And it's not any kind of medical certificate. It's not any kind of it's a legal medical certificate. I still go back. Sierra Leone has made the full cycle of a rape victim a national emergency, and this is what we need. So we have a lot of people speak up. Even in as much as even in Cameroon, we don't have we don't have the full cycle. Our association is covering some cost. We are covering some costs, but unfortunately, I put it on condition that you come out and you are ready to press charges. Because I will not treat your kid and you take the child away. I'm sorry. Because I should not be wasting my money, when somebody is trying to murder your child and you don't want to. This is it. If you are listening and your child is a victim of rape, reach out to me. I don't mind. I've been putting it. So why will I not put it today? Reach out to me. Let's do it together.
That's good. So
just to mention something there. I believe that we were talking about mental health. We've covered many topics on mental health on this show. I still believe that the fact that Africans are not well enlightened in the area of mental health could be one of the reasons why rape is being condoned. And one of the reasons why the legal system is not doing what it has to do.
Yes.
Because that little girl who was raped at 6 has been damaged.
Yeah.
Even marriages, there are marriages. I don't want to be controversial when it comes to, I try to stay away from controversial stuff, but you design a marriage and in the name of marriage, get a young girl who is 14 years old, you marry her. You marry her. Look, in the course of that, you are legally married. In the course of that, she develops a fistula, a vaginal fistula, and begins to leak urine. You damage her emotionally, psychologically, and physically because everybody is running away from the girl. And what happens is that they take the girl and dump her. Nobody wants to have anything to do with that girl who is leaking urine and who is stinking. Go to many states in Cameroon, you discover what I'm talking about. At least 2, 3, 4, 5 states. Especially in North. I went to medical school in the North in Nigeria, in Plateau State, Middle Belt. And we know what happens in those northern regions. Young girls of 12, 13, 14, 15, in the name of marriage, leaking urine because of trauma, physical trauma. So there's a connection between the bladder and the vagina. So once that connection takes place there and urine leaks there, you have an abnormal connection which is called a fistula.
Yeah.
So not only urine, even the poo. Even the poo comes out sometimes.
She stinks, she smells. Nobody wants to hang around with her, but people walk scot-free because it was under something called what? Marriage. How does the legal system address stuff like this?
Yeah.
Now, you see, that woman, that mother, because mama knows everything in Africa before daddy knows. Mother, I'm saying it the way it is. I'm not putting about the rules. I'm putting it straight. You people are the number one culprits. You are the reason why. You see, we have a patriarchal system in Africa. You have to understand this thing. Patrilineal heritage, patriarchal system. The woman's place is in the kitchen. Thank God it's changing now. Because I get into the kitchen myself sometimes, you know. I get into that kitchen. You have places in the kitchen.
Sometimes.
When it starts with the children and everything, it is mommy. So that girl tells you, mom, you an African woman. That is sing sweet mother all the time for. Your daughters tell you about rape, you sit quiet. You go and tell your husband, and then you women need a Me Too movement against your husbands. Now, this thing I'm saying is very powerful.
Not all.
Oh, yeah.
Doctor, I will tell you for free.
So that they will not suppress you from talking about your daughter who was raped because her life is doing mess, so you are the culprit. African women rise up and talk about rape. You are sitting silent.
Thank you.
Are the first legal system to that girl before we go to the court of law.
That's brilliant. Yeah.
So how can we go to the court of law? Are you getting what I'm talking about?
Yes.
Because this is constructive. Yeah. We got to talk about the real things and not do shadow boxing. Because we do a lot of shadow boxing and stuff when it comes to rape in Africa. We are too cute. We address it nice with nice smiles, we wear nice suits and stuff like that. We sit and then on big panels. When I watch debates on rape, I weep all the time. Sweet mother, be a sweet mother to your daughter. She got raped and you are sitting silent. There are at least 20 or 100 women who are watching this and they know what I'm talking about. Yes, that is the first legal system.
I think Doctor, no child should be even raped. As a mother, I will tell you, I open my nieces them every time. I tell them, come and open me your GG. I need to see what is going on there. I'm having this conversation so they don't even, like already they tell you, Mamu, Tata Mamu, Auntie Mamu has told us that it is our machine of mass destruction because somebody can damage it. I jokingly have this conversation. Recently, my niece of 6 years, I was telling her, ma fille, c'est la grosse machine de guerre allemande. Ça peut détruire comme on peut détruire si quelqu'un touche ça. This is a conversation we need to be it the boy. Ton popo là, on ne touche pas. They don't have to, nobody touches it. Right. We as parents should not even start telling the kids, the kids should not come and tell us. The children should not come and tell us. We should be able to diagnose it so we address it immediately. Have that conversation. I'm not saying that you should be very relaxed with your kids, but be firm with them. Make the routine check. Make the routine check. Even if your child is 15, sometimes the girl child, you need to scrub her back because her back needs to shine. While you are doing this, while you're scrubbing her back, you have a lot of opportunities. So I hear some people say, don't be naked in front of a child. For me, sometimes that is an opportunity to launch a conversation with your daughter.
Let's talk about sex, as we said.
Talk about sex. Even as young as, like a little boy can say, oh, you have big breasts. You say, yes. You have that conversation. I hear people trying to be pudic. I am not. Because for me, this is an opportunity I seize to talk to my kids about their privacy. Even sometimes you even go to the hospital. The doctor who is examining you should do it. There are things he should not do. That's why mommy or daddy has to be there when the doctor is examining you. This is some of the things. Until I don't want any rape. I don't want to hear, because the day my daughter, I see it, I'm asking her, who touched this thing? Who touched a jewel? Because it's a jewel.
Yeah.
Who touched it?
Yes, Mirabelle. You remember when we were young, right? I want to tell a nice little story. I always hit it straight to the point. We were young when they were watching this. You remember the times when we watch movie in the night? When we privileged to have televisions, I've come a long way. But the television, everybody is sitting there glued on TV. There were no cell phones, talking of smartphones. That TV is everything. When they sing a national anthem, bam, bam, we sit there, we start watching at that hour, that round ball. Huge, nice stuff. You can connect with me on that, right? Watching it. And then around 9:30, 10 o'clock, we start watching that movie. We start watching that movie. And that is when you see Daddy will turn to the left and to the right and look at you. It's watching you closely. When it comes to the kissing scenes.
My dad used to turn off the TV at that moment.
Look at you like that. And they look from your mom or your dad will tell that it's time to go to bed. You will get up slowly because of the culture of not talking about sex. Now, that same child who has been taken through that stuff of go to bed, they are doing stuff behind that you don't know. That's the truth.
Yeah.
I was a child as well. I'm guilty. I'm reporting myself to my father. We do things that you don't know. You think that you are telling us not to watch that stuff that they're kissing because we did not see it well and nobody talked to us about it. We went out and practiced it and got into trouble. Talk about sex to children. Because it's this culture that we are not open. We don't want to talk about it. And it means that we're instilling some great practices on our children. They don't see rough stuff. Your children spend more time outside, out of the house than in the house. So they spend with people who do not have such power as you. So we need to address this and be straight to the point. The culture starts from home. It starts from home. And we talk about rape. The reason why we have social existence is because the basic fundamental unit of social life is what? The family. You want to curb rape, AC. You want to curb rape, Festus. You want to curb rape, Mirabelle. What we're going to do is we have to talk about sex. And talk about it openly with our children. If we talk about it all the time, they will tell you who touched them is that way that it touched them. They'll talk about that uncle who touched them abnormally. If you don't talk about with them, how can they talk about it? You will let them know that if somebody touched you abnormally, it is not right. And you don't need to be ashamed. You have just done therapy.
Ashamed.
You don't need to be ashamed.
Afraid.
You are a victim. Because somebody touched you. Now, talk about the legal system, the legal part that Festus. In some countries, the woman reports. Let's go from biblical times. So, let's go to biblical times. When the woman was accused of committing adultery, right? Where was the man? Did she commit adultery alone? Did the woman commit adultery alone? No. That woman committed adultery with a man. Now they took her and put her to stone her. Where was the man?
I know.
Talk about the man.
It's because of patriarchy.
It's a very tough thing. I'm talking right from biblical times. When I read that thing, I read that scripture, I read it again. The one they asked myself, what happened? What about that man? Why did they not stone the man? That is where Africa is. You see, that woman has to be blamed. It's a gender thing. And the African woman in the legal system is weak, unlike in the United States of America. One of the most powerful people in the legal system in the United States is a single black woman or a woman from Spain or who is single, who is black. That woman is very powerful. You talk about rape, you're going for a long time. You're going to jail for a long time. And then you will not survive jail because they will rape you in jail until you die here in America. The worst people in any jail. I'm saying this for Africans to hear because that is important. When you go to jail, it's not armed robbers. It's not white-collar crime and stuff. People in jail who are subjected to all types of things are rapists. When they know you are a rapist in jail, you are done. They will rape you until you die. You become everybody's wife. Because it is serious to forcefully take another human being against their consent, against their will, and to subject them to that brutality. Because you want to satisfy your sadistic tendencies. No. That's why it's a life sentence. So can the Lord look at it? Can we pay more attention to this? Yes, we can. And I applaud you, Daphne, for coming out and talking about it. I applaud you because you're a very strong woman. By talking about it, you became free. I'm talking to all those young women who are not talking. We have to ignite a Me Too movement in Africa too, so that the scales will fall off our eyes. But it starts with the culture. It starts with the patriarchal African system. It goes with this judicial system, which is sedentary.
Yes.
Which is sleeping there. Which is dead when it comes to things like rape. It goes across mothers stepping up to the plate. Mama, sweet mother, be a sweet mother to your daughter, please. Not just to your son, okay? To your daughter who has been raped and you're not talking about it. At least attend to her, sweet mother. I mean, that's what I can contribution.
Oh, that's brilliant. Thank you so much, Belle. Thank you so much, Dr. Ako, for that. One message, one very important message I've taken from this last conversation is that mothers, be a sweet mother, be that legal system to your children, to your daughters, to your sons, because before we start looking at the legal system outside, we have to start from within. Yes. So mothers, do not protect your marriage, do not protect your family name, do not protect your whatsoever, and you leave your child to die from the devastating effects of rape. That sends us to our next question. Yeah, so many people try to give reasons for why a man rapes or a man should rape. Well, you were not dressed, you did not dress properly. I remember way back in UB, one of our marketing lecturers, may her soul rest in peace now, she used to tell us, if I'm a lawyer now and I'm standing in there in court and a lady comes in to me that she was raped, the first thing I will ask her is, how was she dressed? I've never forgotten this statement, because according to that statement, it means the way you dress is telling a man that I'm free, I'm open, so you can do whatever thing you want to do with my body. Is that what's supposed to be the case? And when Daphne opened up, I've read quite a few comments from people, and I read one just a few days ago, quite a few people say, well, just look at the picture she posted, just see the way she's dressing, a man will be tempted to rape her. Really? So is that the only thing a man should do when he is tempted to rape?
Yeah.
So this brings me to my question. What is your take on this? Is there a justifiable reason for raping someone? What can be? I know the only set of people who can really give us accurate or appropriate answers to this question is somebody who has been a perpetrator, somebody who has actually done the act, because he or she will know the exact reason why he or she did that. But we've heard people talking, right? So can we look into some of the reasons that people?
Yes, we're talking about temptation, right?
Yeah.
And talking about temptation and rape because of the way she dressed. Me, I always like to go to basics. You know, I try to have some fundamental basics on scripture. I want to talk about the pathology of temptation. It says each one is tempted when led by an evil desire. Is carried away and enticed. And after enticement comes sin, and after sin comes death. Each one is tempted when led by an evil desire.
Yeah.
The person who raped that girl had an evil desire before he saw her dressed that way. Let's put that in context. So to go to a legal system and say, it's because of the way she dressed that the man was tempted to rape her. No, it's not the way she was dressed, it's a man's evil desire. Yes. Oh, the reason why you shoplifted when you're in that store, as we call it, I'm looking for the word detunimandage. I'm looking for that word in English. The reason why you embezzled money in your pocket, you saw the money.
Embezzlement.
If you don't see that money, you don't have embezzled.
Yeah.
Right. So that's why we should allow you to go scot-free. So next time we'll make sure that you do not, you know what I'm saying? You do not see a lot of money and be in a position where you can embezzle it. We'll make sure, and then you walk scot-free. So this man should walk scot-free because she dressed that way.
I know.
We're talking about psychology here. So you embezzle that money because you saw it. So we should let him go. The next time we should make sure it's not be in a place where he can embezzle that money. No, you embezzle the money because you're a thief. That's why you embezzle it. You have an evil desire. Yeah. So let's call it the way it is. They raped that girl because you are a rapist. You had an evil desire. It's not because of the way she dressed. Yes, we encourage girls to cover up, dress well. Actually, in Africa, we have conservative dressing. Is this social media thing that has ushered a new age where young girls, you know, I had my own generation too. So I'm very careful about blaming this generation. We're not better in our days. We just moved according to what we found. You know what I'm saying, right?
Yeah.
Yes. In my generation, there were no iPhones. We didn't even have cell phones.
So but that was happening.
What I'm trying to say
That's
is
my friend.
we should not hold on to stuff. It's always an excuse. Africans like excuses too much. There's always an excuse that you must give. We don't own up to things.
Yeah.
Not all Africans anyway. Most Africans. Most.
Yes, I think when something goes wrong, there's always a tendency to look for someone or
An
some blame.
excuse, yeah, for the
Yes,
scapegoat.
say, I
I
did
think
because of
me talking about the justification of rape, nothing justifies rapes. Nothing justifies that rape. Because as I'm still talking, baby Marvel is 2 years old. Was she wearing a sexy diaper? That the grandpa, this child who is 2 years, this grandpa has been detailing this child since the child came to his house. So sad. And I would tell you, last year when I launched the It Starts From Me campaign, I remember the first day, there's this lady, a mother of one of my mom's parents, who is justifying that girls have to. I said in India, they rape women who tie sari. They cover all up. They rape them. I work in Mali. Rape is perpetrated in Mali. They cover until you see only this. They still rape them. So what do you want to tell me? They rape kids as young as 3 months, and you tell me that it's because I will tell you something. My last training the last day I was having the sensitization, it was at Bethesda. I was wearing a very short skirt. I was wearing a skirt, like the booty skirt. That is in Yaoundé. I wore it. And I was expecting somebody to tell me that my skirt will provoke people to rape me. And I'm waiting for that rapist because I really wear them short. When I really wear them short and I'm waiting for that rapist. He will never forget daring me if at all is skirt. I'm sorry. If a man is excited, there's so many things you can use. There's so many means. Remove your face, veil your head, remove it. It's in the mind. It is in the mind. And for me, rape is a way. The only thing I can justify rape is that will need for power and control. It has nothing to do with the victim. The woman or the victim is objectified. It's like you would take a toy, a dildo for a woman, or you have the bones that women now like the artificial women that you take it at. Women, girls, children have been objectified. That is the reason why you have a lot of rapists. We are not toys. We are not toys. Human beings are not toys. I'm sorry. Nothing justifies rape. Not justified. It is in mindset. It is in your head. Remove it. Think about something. You have men. You are there watching me now. You are watching me talk. Your husband is raping underprivileged children. He took out of the Francophone region. You have a wife in the house. I wonder how you as a woman, maybe you don't know, because this goes back to my saying that if you take somebody's child, you should treat this child like your own. While these children are being used as sex slaves, remember that long life is not guaranteed. Your children might be the same victims tomorrow. So you have to be very careful. You have to be very careful when because I know people are watching today. I want to tell you, this woman who is, like you putting rape under the carpet in your house. Watch out. Long life is not guaranteed. Your children will be victims tomorrow. And I don't know, in the world beyond, you will have to see what is happening to your kids. You, this man who's listening, who's watching me today, please believe in God. There's a God. There's a God. You have men who are HIV positive, HIV positive out here. They're raping virgin girls that they've told them that when you have sex with a virgin girl, the HIV will. What is all this? What is all this? It is happening in our society. You are watching me. I know you are watching me. You, these men, you, these women, I'm talking to you. Please, Claris, let me talk. I am talking to you today. Long life is not guaranteed you. Long life is not guaranteed you. What other people's children are going through in your houses, your children are going to face it. But this is not my wish. It's not what I wish to any child. If you are watching, If you are a mother watching me, today go and open your daughter's GG. If you are a mother watching, you have children in your house, do an examination. Examine your kids. Examine your kids, be it the boy or the girls. Try and examine them, and you come back, and you will know the answer. You will know whether your children are not defiled. Don't just let your children. We have vultures out here. There's so many vultures out here. My this thing, I will end by saying, do not rape.
Yes.
Do not rape. I don't want to say children. No, do not rape.
Right.
I don't want people telling me you were wearing a miniskirt. Do not rape.
There is actually no justification whatsoever for anybody. Now, Dr. Ako mentioned about, people talking about, I was tempted. Yeah, but you being tempted doesn't mean you have to act upon it. You've been tempted with so many things in life. Now, haven't you been tempted to maybe better your life? Why haven't you better your life? You've probably thought about it. Why didn't you choose that one? There's no justification whatsoever, the dressing or whatsoever it may be, because hey, it's just your mind, and you think you need to get it, and you go bam, and there should be consequences for these actions. And actually, this is really good for me personally. I think it's good for us to talk about this thing, right? It's not us saying that we know better. It's us saying that as a society, we should do better. We should speak up. We should give it a voice. And that's why we have the Voice of Hope Media, because we should create platforms where we could really openly discuss some of these issues, because the more we educate people, the more we share the ideas, the more we share experiences and exposure, that's where bad things begin to disappear from the society. We throw light on it and darkness drifts away slowly. So thank you all for those of our viewers out there who are making comments, very interesting comments, and we hope we'll have time to pick on some of them, and hopefully some of the questions as well to ask our guests. Now, moving forward, and I will start by drifting this question to Dr. Ako for many reasons, because he's a man, and I will start with this one, because in a marital home, this is something that came up that has been, sometimes it's a bone of contention, especially within the African context. In a marital home, we've heard circumstances. We know that they say you can rape your wife, right? You can rape your wife, and which is something that is hard for people to get. Now, what is your take on this? Is it something that is true? Is it something that is not? Is it possible? Because we know of some men who think, because I paid the bride price, I own you. So now when you talk about them raping their wives, it's something that does not work well in their mind, and they didn't get it. Now, is it something you agree with, disagree, and what would you say if someone poses you that question?
Yes, that is a very interesting question, Festus. Is it possible for someone to rape his wife in a marital home? That's the question, right?
Yes.
Yes, it is possible. And there are men who have raped their wives in the marital home, and it's rape because it must be consensual sex. It was not consensual, and it could have been done against her will. But now that is very tricky, very tricky. So yes, you asked me. Yes, it happens. So you're going to the legal system. You're going to tell the lawyer that my husband raped me. Now that sounds a little bit.
Yes.
Even in the Western culture. The Western culture. My husband raped me. So it will be very difficult to prove. Yeah, legally. It will be difficult for a woman to prove that her husband raped her.
Yes.
Yeah, because this is your husband who is exercising a duty. And that he forcefully penetrates you against your will. Yeah, it's called rape.
Yeah.
And should not be condoned. Because you see, even sex has that place in marriage where we need to appreciate what sex is all about when dealing with a wife, where it is something affectionate. It is something that is a necessity. It's a basic necessity of marriage. Sex. Yes. But how do we come to the point where the man raped the woman was under influence?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, taking drugs. Was it for power?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, oftentimes for power. You know, to prove something more than to satisfy a sexual urge.
Yes.
I mean, you raped that woman because you wanted to have sex? Okay. Was this because of power? The way she talked to you, you didn't like it, the way she carries herself?
Yeah.
It was for power more often. Oh, were you intoxicated? Did you do that weed or that cocaine? Stuff like that, you know? Because I'm in mental health and I've had patients who, talk about, get high. Was it some hallucinogen like PCP, LSD that made you to feel like a superman and you got on the woman? Maybe. But oftentimes, from my culture where I come from in Africa, it's because of power. And in Africa, it is not considered rape. I'm sure you know that.
Yeah.
We're talking about this thing, the way it is. You're going to say your husband raped you? How did you start the conversation in Africa? That your husband raped you? Raped by my husband. Or we've been talking about rape. Be careful. We've been doing this thing in one direction a lot. Or the woman
wife.
The man.
Yes.
The woman rape. It happens too.
Mm-hmm.
Rare.
And the man will not speak up because he thinks I'm the man. I have to protect my ego. This thing also happened to me. My friends will look at me like, "Are you crazy to talk about this?"
The man will never speak. Men get raped all the time because of position by their bosses at work. For them, it's a, how can I call it? It's a privilege. For them, it's, hey, I'm so cool that, I should get attention of my boss.
My boss.
You. They are not man enough to talk about it. Men get raped all the time.
If I may ask, what is the definition of rape?
You see, rape, we've talked about it already. I already mentioned that when you're having sex.
We talk of non-consensual sexual intercourse.
Yes.
So
Wait, let me
it's the difficulties.
Even if it is rape is not just non-consensual. I mentioned it from the beginning so that people think they can walk away with it, will not walk away with it. Even if rape is consensual with a minor, sex which is consensual with a minor is rape.
It's rape.
Yeah.
If a minor came to you and said she wants to have sex, that is rape. Before we go to non-consensual. So consensual sex with a minor is rape. She's 14 years old.
But now we're talking of your wife. Your wife, no, because let's forget the definition in quotes is non-consensual with a person, with another person who is prepared. Because when we're talking about sex, we limit it now to, like to you and me. We are adults. We have a relationship. But if you have to force me, because if you have to force me, and then it becomes rape. It's some kind of maybe we should not we have to get out of the rape. We have to be specific. Maybe we have to define spousal rape. Maybe we have to define when you force your wife, because the issue too is like what African men forget, and most often the times is because they have objectified their wives. We have a case. I don't know if any person. I don't know, Claris, did you study law or Festus? I don't know any person who studied law and did family law. There's a case where a woman, like she had just returned from having a baby and it was a C-section. This man was trying to force himself on this woman. Excuse me, after a C-section with blood oozing, how would you justify that? Because I pay money, as they say it. I pay money for your head. As this illiterate, even some of the literate men do that. On the equinox yesterday or 2 days ago, on Regard Social, there was the case of a 13-year-old girl whose father sold him to his friend. This girl was raped she has been raped and with the accomplices of her co-wife. This is it. You're talking about fistula. These are some of the cases. This girl for 8 years have never known peace. This man got legally married to her after abusing her for 8 years with 3 kids. These are some of the things, because when you start saying that there is no, then you open a Pandora box. You let these men think that we women, we are their properties. We are not toys. We are not toys. I'm sorry. We do enjoy as well. I know a case. I don't know, Claire, you should go inside that platform. You know the platform I'm talking about. You have a lady who was raped. She's never had orgasm in her life, but during rape, she had an orgasm. Yes.
So,
yes.
What's the implication of that then?
Come again?
What was the implication then? What's the implication?
The husband got upset. The husband got upset that she was enjoying sex when they were raping her. But excuse me, when you go, I think Dr. Ako, you know, people react differently. You know, like some people either you have the fright and the flight. In psychology, you know about it. Some people just, okay, instead not to be hurt, let me let go. And in the let go, this thing, it instead comes in and, you know, like she's screaming, like something happened to her she's never known in her life. And the husband is like, look at this. These are some of the things that happen to adults.
Right.
It's so difficult for you to be able to say, to how do you say it, to determine spousal rape, but it does exist.
You see, from what we've been talking about, I think for the viewers, it's clear in your brain how this actually works. If it's a minor, be it consensual or not, is rape. With an adult, if it is not consensual, it is classified as rape. Now, so these are some of the things that we should be aware of. So sometimes when they talk about, oh, my wife raped me or stuff, or my husband raped me, and you begin to think, this doesn't, first of all, it doesn't sound good to the ears, because you're thinking, how is this even possible? But it exists, and it is within the law of the society, the legal framework, that it is classified as rape. Now, whether we become aware of this or not, whether we've been informed, educated, or sensitized about this or not, it is an issue that needs to be addressed as well. Because at the end of the day, you don't want to be doing something you think, because I paid the bride price, I can have it whenever and however I want it. It's not going to be like business as usual, because things are changing, especially with platforms where we raise our voices to talk about this issue. Now, to move on to what we'll classify as the final question for the day for this show is, so now, how can we combat? Now, how can we fight against this mindset? What are some of the things that we could do? We know that, Sister Belle, you have an NGO, the Network for Solidarity, Hope and Empowerment, and those who have issues and they want to contact, you can contact her on that, the NGO. You can Google and then try to see how, if you need help, you could get some help. But how could we, as a people, as those who've had some sort of an awareness of these issues, how could we come up with suggestions? What could we do? What could be done by the society? What can we propose that will lead to a change mindset so that these issues will be eradicated from the society? Dr. Ako, what would you say?
Yeah, it's a matter of mindset. It's about the mindset. It's about the knowledge, the attitude, and the practice of rape in Africa. Mm-hmm. So it's about changing the mindset. It's about community outreaches. You know, it's about reaching out to those villages, forming community. Now we have groups. I like to go to the road. We have groups, you know, age groups. I'm buying, so we call it Nkan. Nkan, that is your age group. Women of the same, like your villages, the same age group, they have their meeting.
Yes.
And they contribute, they do their things and stuff. Let us start from there. Then I don't use the white man approach because I come from Africa. I know how that system works.
That works.
Start from there. Mm-hmm. From that in can. Yeah. So if Voice of Hope wants to do an outreach in Africa, for example,
yes,
go to community outreach, go to the camp, those age groups for the women, and talk about rape, and develop material in such a way that they can see and look and understand. Imagine that every Incan group, that age group, in every village in Cameroon can be assessed. There's going to be a change.
Yes.
We're looking for the government or the legal system to do stuff. I've already mentioned about the influence of the culture on the legal system and the rest.
Yes.
So we have to go straight to the culture.
Of course.
Those groups. And they have that conversation. There's going to be a lot of resistance.
Yes.
Because the African loves their culture. Then we talk about the rape culture. And we're not talking about it being overt or subtle. It is there.
It is
so
there.
We do something about it. So let's carry out this education. Let's expand on the knowledge of people about rape is poor. Their attitude towards rape is poor. The practice towards rape is poor. We can work on that. The KAP, knowledge, action, and practice on rape. That's a good place to start. Now, I don't know how the medical system is well equipped to handle rape victims. I don't know how many therapists we have in Africa. I do not understand the place of therapy in medical practice, in mental health, because rape is trauma. So how can the trauma units handle rape cases? You know, that is important. If we have a trauma unit that's very efficient in Cameroon, people know about it, it means the awareness will be even more because this thing is working this way. We're talking about rape, right? But we have to be very careful here. Malaria is killing so many people in Africa, in Cameroon as I speak. So to avoid affording chloroquine, people cannot afford. Now we're going to talk about rape. So we have a lot of work to do. A lot of work to do. So education is key. You know, we talked about the mothers. Okay, let's talk about it. Who is going to raise up something about mothers being the first, that first line, that first legal front line for their children? Who can bring it up? Can women talk about it? Can women do something about it? I know about the Ministry of Women Empowerment in Cameroon. They could do something about it. I'm talking about practical solutions. I'm not talking about stuff we write in the book and we read it and they will go and sleep.
Yes.
Yeah. So the women, the Ministry of Women Empowerment, what role have they played when it comes to rape? They stand a very important role. Yes, they can work with other people. So I believe that there's a lot that we can do, Festus. I believe we can do a lot, Claris. And since I know we're wrapping up, I believe we can do a lot, Mirabelle, if we can be real with each other, if we don't just talk about it. If we take it, and the thing is that if you want to carry out the knowledge, action, and practice of stuff, it is cost effective. It's cost effective. Yeah. It's just about people availing themselves and volunteering themselves to go to those places to tackle. You know, so to tackle rape in Cameroon is a cost-effective process. What I'm trying to say is, and what I'm actually saying is, to change the mindset on rape in Cameroon is cheap to do that. You don't need millions of dollars. No, it's not as if we're going to do a surgery, a cardiothoracic surgery. No, it's just about people being available to go to those communities and talk about it, and talk about these cultural practices which are dangerous to health, the health of women, cultural practices that are dangerous out there that we should not condone, that can be deleterious to the joy, to the happiness of your children. So that is what I can say for now.
Wow. No, thank you so much, because you brought out so many other points and even practical things that could be used in order to get rid of this pandemic called rape. So now, Sister Belle, what would you, as we round up, because we're stretching the time now, what would you say are some of the practical steps or procedures or policies or plans, activities that could be done? And for you just to be a little bit specific, do you think the church, the mosque, the synagogues could do a role in this as well?
Thank you. I just want to tell you that when you, like when you talk about the mosque, these are breeding grounds. All of these religious places are breeding grounds where they groom the kids. You have some places where some of these pastors or men of God, as they call themselves, they take kids that they want to groom the kids to be better people. In the middle of the night, you see a child running out of this grooming room. They say it's the Holy Spirit. Meanwhile, it's the Holy Spirit of the pastor. Because the child is running away from rape. Seriously. Seriously. These are things that are happening. So what we should be doing, for me, it's like our legal system has failed us. Let's take preventive measures. What are the measures we have to take? Because for me, it's do not rape. Do not rape. So me, I'm teaching kids not to rape. And I'm teaching the other children that they should not accept rape. No, rape is not normal. That is why the Network of Solidarity last year, we launched the first edition, the It Starts From Me campaign. It's COVID that has stopped us a bit, but we're already doing the groundwork. Claris knows about it. We have the sensitization campaign. This year, last year we reached over, I think, 3,000 people last year in Cameroon. The whole of SWA, have the Amazons of SWA, who took to SWA during the 16 days of activism and sexual violence. The 16 days of activism. They were in all quarters of SWA. This year, what we're planning on doing, and which is already on the group, we have groups that will tackle Yaoundé, Douala, Bafoussam, Bagante, Bangem, Boya. We even launched a GoFundMe campaign where people are not responding. For me, it's like, like today people are talking a lot about Daphne's case, but we've been on the scene. It's so funny. I'm happy today people are talking. I am so happy. It means that people, we might think, those of us, Maria Banga is watching, you have Rahel Randy, you have people in support. Like the little when we have a case, we've been doing on a case by case basis. But for me, the victory today, people can stand up and even open their mouth and say, I was raped. People can stand up and even criticize. For me, it's even criticize, at least you know that something like rape does exist. So for me, it's we are reaching somewhere. We are reaching somewhere. We need resources. We need resources. We need flyers out. We need t-shirts. We need to, the volunteers need transportation to go and do the job, which we're asking them. Sensitization is nothing. Last year we organized 2 median walk, one in Douala, one in Yaoundé. How many people? We have less than 100 people in Douala. That was on the 9th of November. That with on a platform together against rape. In Yaoundé, the 15th of November. So these are some of the things. Only sensitization. I remember this one that was in one of the sensitization on the 21st of September. 21st of September, this woman was like, oh my God, I can't even leave my kids with their dad because I almost got raped by my uncle. She suspects everybody around her.
Yeah.
So we have to sensitize people a lot.
And those are some of the effects. Those are some of the devastating effects of someone being raped, because one of the things that happens to you is you lose the confidence or trust in any other person around you, and that is actually going to be what we are going to discuss. And I think on the third episode of this 3-part series. So I just want to use this opportunity now to thank everyone, to thank especially Dr. Ako for bringing up this topic and bringing it to me, whereas there are so many other talk shows. How amazing is that? So thank you so much, Dr. Ako, and Sis Belle, thank you so much for your input, for your everything. And after this show, you can actually go under the comments and you put a link to the GoFundMe, you put a link to your page, your NGO, and then Dr. Ako, just to mention, Dr. Ako Talks is coming up powerfully very soon, and it's Dr. Ako Talks on mental health. And mental health is also one of the areas where survivors or victims of rape, that happens to them, the traumatic effect that they go through PTSD and other forms of mental issue. So Dr. Ako is the right person for you, if you are listening, if you are watching, to go through if you've been struggling with your mental health after being raped. I mean, all the viewers, all of you watching, it's been an amazing show so far. We've been live for 1 hour, 39 minutes, 6 seconds. We aimed for 1 hour, 30 minutes, but it's still ongoing, as you can see. And also to mention, we've been broadcasting live on Facebook and on YouTube. And then, just to end, this is the Voice of Hope Media, and this is Let's Give It a Voice edition of the Voice of Hope Media with host myself, Claris, and Festus for. So our aim of this show is to educate, is to empower, is to inspire, and to give hope to people who are facing or who have faced challenging and complex life issues in the past or currently, So they should know they are worthy, or that their experiences are worthy, they are valuable, and that each experience that you've gone through, you've faced, has the power to transform your life. And this Voice of Hope Media is a safe space, it's a safe platform where you feel comfortable, you feel confident to speak out, to speak up, and know you will be listened without being judged or without being stigmatized. And this has been Let's Give It a Voice at the Voice of Hope Media. So it's a 3-part series. Today was the first part. Next week, the 10th of October, we are going to the second episode. And the 10th of October is actually Mental Health Day. So on that day, we are going to concentrate on the effects of rape on our mental health. We will have other guest speakers on that day, and then you have a nice weekend. And thank you so much for coming.
Thank you all. Thank you so much, Dr. Ako, for bringing up this topic. It's interesting to see that as we started off in our introduction, saying that when men also raise their voices together with women, then change actually comes into the society. So when he brought up this topic, and we think it's good because it shouldn't be an issue where most women are screaming. It's like there is no help coming from the other side, or mostly the perpetrators being men for most of the statistics. When we all rise up as one voice, as one people, there is hope for change to come. And today is just the beginning. And we hope this will be the beginning for the rest of our life as a community and as a continent, as a people. So see you again next week. Stay tuned, and you will be blessed, and you will get some more information that will create awareness so that we become good.
Yeah.
Then, goodbye.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Thank you so much.